What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. Today I want to talk to you about how to dominate your fantasy auction leagues with these 5 very basic, simple tips. I've been in a fantasy baseball league that's been an auction for about 15 years now, and it is also a dynasty league, so if you get these wrong in the dynasty leagues, it could really cause you some misery over the next 3 to 5 years. But if you get it right, you could be winning championships and really start a real dynasty. So these are 5 tips that I use every year, and they're tips that you really should be thinking about if you're doing an auction league this year. So, number 1 is never bid early. So what do I mean by that? I don't mean don't bid on the guys that come up early. I mean that when somebody calls up a guy that you really like, you need to wait until the very last moment to actually start putting in your bids. There's 2 reasons we do this. One is because, A, we don't want to show that we're actually interested, because when we start showing that we're interested, it changes people's minds. When you know that somebody else is interested, you're more likely to bid on them. Or the other problem that this presents is it's actually driving up the price for that player, whether you know it or not. If you're down to 2 people and it's early, that's fine, but when there's 3 or 4 people bidding, that price goes up really quick, and especially if you're one of them. So what you want to do is you want to wait to show interest until the very last few moments and then try to jump in. Now, you don't need to do this with every player every time, but if it's a player that you really like, that you really want, that you're looking to get a bargain for, wait until the end, because it's essentially saying this is what the rest of the room will pay for them, and then you're like, well, not so fast, there's one more contender here. So if they allow you to do that, use that to your advantage. The number 2 thing is don't wait in an auction league for the last guy in the tier. In fantasy football, we talk all the time about, okay, there's 8 guys in this tier, you want to be the guy who's taken the 8th person in that list as late as possible. You do not want to go down that road in an auction league, because here's what happens. There are 8 other owners who are thinking the exact same way, and they say, oh, shoot, there's one last guy in this tier. I need this guy. There's only one good pitcher left. And that's how people start to think. Oh man, there's only one really great outfielder left, and I need to get him. So that's not just one person. That's the whole room is now thinking that. So if you are waiting for the last person in that tier, you're going to be competing with every single person in that room for that person, and that lowest tier person's value actually goes way higher than somebody that's kind of in the middle. Usually the first guy in that tier ends up as a discount, and the last guy ends up as not a discount at all. Number 3, when it's your turn to call somebody up for the draft, it's your turn to pick. Never pick somebody that you actually want, or never pick somebody at a position that you need. So if I am flush with first baseman, I need to be picking high-named first baseman, because I obviously don't need that person, but the main reason you're doing this is because then you get the other groups to spend high money, and that means less competition later for guys that you actually do like. So if I already have a stud outfield and nobody's called up Mike Trout yet, then I need to call up Mike Trout, because you're going to end up paying a lot more for him, and then the next time it's us 2 in a bid, I'm going to have more money than you did. And if I can do this enough times, I'll have an advantage over a lot more people in the room. So if you don't need that person, throw them out there to be auctioned for. Number 4, depth teams can work. This is more towards baseball than it is football. If you notice that all of the top guys are getting mega deals, like 40% of salary caps or something like that, you can wait. It's okay to wait and get tier 2, tier 3 guys, invest more into the bench players or into upcoming guys. You can do that, because at the end of the draft, or even in the middle of the draft, you're going to have more money than everybody else, so you could accumulate this really strong depth team while everybody else is very top heavy and kind of cellar dwellers there. So you could be right in that upper middle tier, grabbing guys that nobody else can because they don't have the money, because they spent 40% of their salary cap on Mookie Betts or Juan Soto. You could get 2 guys in those middle tiers, and they can easily equal the points of Juan Soto. So something to consider. Depth teams can work. They can, and they have worked. Last thing I want to say is you can't be afraid to bid people up. I know that It's kind of scary, and it can be very scary, especially if you're down to 2 people. But every time that you actually bid somebody up, it helps everybody in the room, but it does help you as well, because at the end of the day, that's less money that can be spent bidding against you. It will happen occasionally where you do get stuck with somebody, so I wouldn't say bid people up on people that you have no interest in or at positions that you absolutely do not need. But if you have like a util spot still open somewhere, don't be afraid to actually kind of poke the bear a little bit, because you can end up saving money in the long run that way. And honestly, if you're afraid that people might return the favor and try to bid you up, they won't. Nobody in that room is smart enough to recognize that you are purposely bidding them up. They just think you're interested in the player. And you probably are to an extent, because you shouldn't be bidding on anybody you don't need. So anytime that you can get anybody to spend money that's on something that you don't need, which is kind of relating to number 3, is a good thing. You want to be acquiring players for cheaper. This is how you do it. Alright guys, so those are 5 very basic tips to get a good auction draft. It's nothing like a snake draft. If you enjoyed what you saw today, if you want some more tips, some more help, let me know, because I've been doing this for a long time, and I feel like I have knowledge that I can give you guys. So if you like what you saw, let me know. Appreciate you all. Until next time, see ya.